was he wanted me to help re-inspire children to want to get into science and math. He wanted me to expand our international relationships. And third, and perhaps foremost, he wanted me to find a way to reach out to the Muslim world and engage much more with dominantly Muslim nations to help them feel good about their historic contribution to science and engineering.
Well, that was NASA Administrator Charles Bolden recounting his mission as spelled out to him by President Obama in an interview with Al Jazeera TV. So, the president wants our space program boss to focus, first and foremost, on making the Muslim world feel good? Joining me now, radio talk show hosts Leslie Marshall and Steve Malzberg. Steve, that caught a lot of people by surprise, so much so that NASA is now reacting, coming out and saying, look, what he was talking about was his priorities when it comes to outreach, not about NASA's primary missions of space aeronautics and space exploration. Does that change things?
No, it doesn't change anything, and they can try to spin it any way they want, Megan. The fact of the matter is, this is who Barack Obama is. There are many people out there, including myself, who believe he's more concerned with being president of the Muslim world than president of the United States.
Oh, come on.
This man has done every single thing possible since day one, starting with this Cairo speech, to beg the Muslim world to like us, to forgive us, to excuse us. And when the head of NASA lists his three main responsibilities, and none of them involve space travel, because Obama probably knew he was going to do away with that, as he has. But tell the Muslims they're so great. By the way, how many Nobel Peace Prizes in engineering and in science have Muslims won since they have about 1.5 billion of the population? I'd like to know who besides Yasser Arafat actually won a Nobel Peace Prize that's a Muslim.
You know, I can't answer that question, Leslie, but I think it is a legitimate question to ask what the NASA chief is doing, being focused on improving our relations, or as he put it, making the Muslim world feel good. He says that's his foremost mission.
Well, first of all, we are taking a soundbite, guys, and we all know, being in media, that's a piece. We need to look at the entire context of the interview and of the conversation. Secondly,
well, what does that tell you? Because NASA had a chance to, let me just interrupt you, because NASA had a chance to clarify. We went to them and said, what the heck are you talking about? That's his first and foremost mission. He's the NASA chief. And this is what they said. Ambassador Bolden was speaking of priorities when it came to outreach, not about NASA's primary mission. Then he said international cooperation and collaboration is important to the future of space exploration, and that he says that they're going to let the comments speak for themselves. But it's unfortunate they're being viewed through a partisan prism. But they don't take back the comments, Leslie. They're still out there as the first and foremost mission.
I don't have a problem with this, and the reason being, we are not at war with Muslims in the Muslim world. We're at war with terrorists. And there are Muslim countries such as Afghanistan and Pakistan that we're working with the leaders and people of to keep that fight. We don't own the solar system. We don't own the world, even though we like to think to.
Leslie,
we need to work with the other countries throughout the world.
Yeah, we need the Muslim countries.
Yeah, Steve,
Leslie, let me ask you.
I guess it's okay. We just want to have the Jewish countries. Oh, I'm sorry. That would be one Jewish state.
Look at this.
World,
look at this. The Jewish countries.
Is that what we want to do?
Hey, Leslie,
this is not an issue of religion.
Leslie,
hold on, let him respond to that.
Leslie, you have a problem with the state of Israel, the Jewish country? I mean, if that's that could be a whole other discussion, Leslie.
Leslie,
let's go on.
Hey, it's not helpful, in particular to our listeners who follow on radio, for the talking over one another. So, Steve, I'll give you the chance to respond, and I'll go back to you, Leslie.
Let's put this in context. As you say, Megan, you went to NASA and they didn't deny it, and the rest of the statement involved how, you know, we need all these countries to help us in the space program. Without Russia, we'd be nothing. This is Obama. There's no U.S. exceptionalism. We're just one of a bunch of nations, many nations. There's nothing special about the U.S., and making the Muslim countries feel good is not the job of NASA. It's not the job of the United States, and it's certainly not the job of the President of the United States.
Does it feel out of place at all to you, Leslie?
No. As I was trying to say, Steve, if we work with the rest of the world and you befriend the rest of the world in areas such as space exploration, and you can stimulate thought and education, which is a key throughout the world, not just in this country, a key correlation between lack of education and crime, whether it's terrorism or whether it's somebody carjacking on a street corner in a city in the United States, that is essential for peace throughout the world in the future. And not just that, but for medicine for medicine. There are other areas with the Muslim world and the other areas in the world that the United States needs to work with. We are the best
Really?
country in the world.
What are the Muslim contributions?
One of the things that makes us best, Steve, is that we realize we can't do everything alone.
We need the Muslim world for medicine and space exploration.
We need to work with other countries to better the world.
Let him respond.
Leslie, the goal was to tell the Muslim countries how great their contributions have been in these areas. What have their contributions been in these areas, Leslie? Do you know of any?
All right. Well,
if we bring them into the programs, perhaps we will see that.
Well, but that's but the lesson is supposed to be help them feel good about their historic contribution to science, math, and engineering. All right, folks, I got to leave it at that because I'm out of time. By the way, I said Ambassador Bolden. I didn't mean that. I meant Administrator Bolton. It's tough because it's Charles Bolden, and I just had on John Bolton. In any event, thanks to my panel. Well, a Japanese hot dog eating champ in hot water. Did you know that there is such a thing as major league eating